So I'm now recording. Okay. Okay, so I'm really sorry about that.
Russell, can I make
So
a
some people will
suggestion?
not get in, and we're going to have this recorded. I wonder if I can, just before you do that, let me see if I still can go live on Facebook.
Russell, can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
I can get off, so it'll open up one space and go into Layla or Lena's room. And if there's other parents who can maybe double up with their kids, that'll open up some space.
Yeah, I'm wondering though if I can just go straight to, hold on, I'm going to do this as a Facebook Live.
Yeah, if you can do Facebook, then we'll have a lot more access.
Hold on one second. Sharing a group on a, is it a group or page I manage? I'll put page I manage. There it is, Los Angeles Youth Orchestra. Okay. So we're now going to be live on Facebook. So I think if you can, Anna, if you can let everyone know who can't get on, that they can get on it on our Facebook page. That should be available in a few minutes, okay? And that should solve the problem. Yes, I'm seeing it. Good, 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 good. Okay. So this is so funny. All righty. Okay, just to make things a little bit more complicated. All right. So for those who will be on Facebook, we won't be able to interact the same way, but it will be Kate. So this is what I want to do first. First of all, I want to make sure you all know me because we have a lot of new students, and I didn't get to hear everyone audition. My name is Russell Steinberg, and I'm the conductor and the founder of the Los Angeles Youth Orchestra. We actually began this orchestra, believe it or not, in 2000. It was actually began in around 2000, and it wasn't called Los Angeles Youth Orchestra. It was called the Stephen Wise Youth Orchestra because it was actually sponsored by a Jewish temple, the biggest Jewish temple in Los Angeles. And so for many years, they guided us. And then we ultimately became independent. We chose the name Los Angeles Youth Orchestra because we have the widest distribution of students from all over the city. If you were to put all of us on a Google map, it's all of Los Angeles and beyond. And so we're very proud of the fact we attract so many people. All you students, you would never probably meet each other within this orchestra because so many of you live in distant places. But what you'll discover in this orchestra is that you have so much in common with each other. You're all super bright. You're all very curious. You ask questions. You want to know the reasons behind things. And you're looking for something deeper in life. I think that's another thing I've discovered with our students. And our staff, our coaches, we're all so excited to work with you. What I first would love to do is I would love for everyone who's a new student to raise your hand. If you're a new student, raise your hand. Could we give them a big applause and welcome them to our family? Big applause and welcome to our family. We're a wonderful community and we stay in touch with each other. As you see, we're going to have alums, people who've graduated, all different years coming back and talking to you this year. And so you'll realize you're all part of something very special. Even though we have seating auditions and all kinds of things that are competitive in the orchestra, what I try to remind people is if you got into the orchestra, you already made it. And where you're sitting, in some respects, you have to realize is not so important. The fact that you made it into the group, that's what's important. I also want to congratulate all the students that made it into Symphony Orchestra. Could all the Symphony Orchestra kids raise their hands? All of you are in Symphony Orchestra. I'm gonna scroll between all the screens. Excellent. Could we give a hand to all the Symphony Orchestra folks this time? Fantastic. And then lastly, all of the concert orchestra people. We have this wonderful concert orchestra we put together. So many new students. All of you raise your hand if you're new concert orchestra. Okay, I'm seeing in my screen, Eric Jan and other people. Excellent. Let's give a big hand to all of them. Oh, it says I'm live on my personal page. That's so weird. Okay, Laura, that is strange. Not the LAYO page, even though that okay, let me try this. Okay, try it now. I'm gonna just say go live. Let's see if it's on the LAYO page now. I'm sorry guys, because we need to set up for Facebook Live. Just waiting for it to go. I think this will be on Facebook now. Okay. No? Okay, Laura, you're going to have to let me know if it's actually getting on Facebook yet. Yes. Okay. Finally. Okay. Okay. Well, this is something else. Now, while every one of you on Facebook won't be able to hear this, there's something special I want to try for about 5 minutes. Still have calls coming. On Facebook, we have on Zoom, I can make a breakout room. So many of you have not met each other. And what I would like to try is I'm going to try just for 5 minutes. I'm going to break you randomly into groups of 5 people. And I would like you just to introduce each other, talk about a little bit about your background, where you are, and just get to know this. In this way, you're going to probably get to meet someone you didn't know before. And then I will bring you all back. And when I bring you back, then we're going to continue with a very important introduction where you're going to get to meet everyone, and we're going to talk about, you make it meet our staff and our coaches, and we're going to talk about how this semester will be different. So I'd like to just give this a shot because I tried it this morning and it was very interesting. So we're going to go into 20 rooms, and I'm going to create the rooms right now. So unmute yourselves, and oh wait, let me unmute you. Okay, and I'm going to put you in the breakout rooms, and then we will see each other in 5 minutes. Okay, here we go, and really make a chance to meet people you will otherwise. Let me just make sure I've got the options all set up. Seconds back. 4 minutes. Okay, here we go. Boom. That's pretty cool. That's really cool. And I can join any of these rooms. Excellent. Okay, I'm going to join one.
Oh, more people have this.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, you guys introduce each other.
Yes, I'm Daniel.
I'm
Play the clarinet.
also play clarinet.
I play French horn.
Awesome.
Yeah, why don't you guys talk about the schools you come from and all your other interests, okay?
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to go bomb other rooms.
All right, see you soon.
Hi, Russell.
Hey. Hi, Natan. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks.
Did you not get put into a room?
It doesn't look like it.
Oh, man. Okay, so this is all new. So let me see if I can do this. How do I do this?
Hi, Russell.
Oh, here we go. Okay, I'm going to assign you.
Thanks.
I'm going to go, you're going to go there. And you're going to go there. This is fantastic. So for all of you guys on Facebook, you know what? This is a great chance for me to tell you what you missed if you were on Facebook. Oh, wait, we've got one more person who's not assigned. No, we're fine. Okay, yeah, so what we did while you were on Mason, I talked about, if you see the backdrop I have, the backdrop is Carnegie Hall. And this is where we're planning on touring in June, pandemic willing, right? And so everything we're doing this semester is going to be geared to that, but obviously we can't rehearse our music live at this point. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be working in chamber ensembles, learning how to play chamber music, which is going to hone all your ability to be able to hear each other and to make adjustments and interpret music and play on a higher level. And then we're gonna have a virtual concert this semester, and we're gonna prepare for the following semester where we're gonna actually be working on the repertoire, for Carnegie Hall. And this is music that I'll have analyzed before. And so you're gonna, when I have everyone come back, I will share with all of you, how this semester is going to unfold, because it's going to be different than anything we've ever done, because we're going to have really high content online as well as amazing coached rehearsals in person. So I'm just going to I think people just have a couple more minutes. Let me look at the breakout rooms. And I think we're just about done. It's a good experiment. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. I divided 100 people into 5 groups of 5. Okay, we're closing. Okay, now I'll see if I get everyone back. Okay, let's see if we're all back now.
We're back.
We are back. Fantastic. So did you guys get to meet new people?
Yeah. We met new people.
Was that valuable? We just tried this as an experiment.
Wonderful.
It was
Well expected.
Daniel is sideways.
cool. I think it's something we can use in the future, so you get a chance to get to know each other. Okay, so what I'm going to do, let me just mute you all for 1 second. And then let me just finish this, and I'm going to introduce some peeps to you. So what I want to talk about, I wanted to emphasize that we're this wonderful community. This semester is going to be completely different than what we've done before, but it's going to be so exciting. We're going to alternate Sundays on Zoom with Sundays playing chamber music live, obviously at a safe distance, outside with masks. So we're continuing still to live in a science fiction world. You guys all know that. But we're going to find a way to make music. Now, chamber music, we're going to be talking a lot about that this semester. It's very different than orchestra music, but the skills that you build in it are directly applicable to our playing in orchestra. So it's going to make you a better orchestra player. It's also going to be able to help us to continue to grow. And that's the thing, because you're going to have coaches that are actually helping you with this. Then on the Sundays on Zoom, you'll be with me. And actually, you'll be with me. And not only that, I've been talking this whole summer with people who've graduated the orchestra. And like I said, we've been doing this since the year 2000. So people do everything you can imagine. One of our graduates is one of the top pathologists, for instance, a doctor at UCLA. We have others in all these different fields, and many of them have become professional musicians. In fact, as you know, Anna Kochnarov, our orchestra manager, is a LAYO alum. Niv Ashkenazi, our violin coach, is a LAYO alum. You guys know David Clymer. So what we're going to do is we're going to have panels, and these panels are going to be about college, helping you get the real inside scoop to help you make decisions for choosing a college. Where should you spend your time in your preparation, and where do you not want to waste your time? Then we're going to have a panel in auditions. How do you take an audition? How do you, how do you prepare, depending on whether you're a serious musician or whether you're just someone who wants to play in your college orchestra? How do you deal with nerves? All of these things. In addition to that, we're going to have special guests, and we have extras. We'll be offering extras. For instance, Niv and his wife do professional consulting in career management. And so he's going to be offering that to you, and he'll talk about that later. I'm going to be offering, here, I'll show you one of the things I'm going to plan on doing. Let me see if I can find this here, is I'm going to offer, this will be an extra thing because there will be a charge for it, but I'm going to offer for any of you a music theory course. I gave a lot of thought into what I wanted to do. I decided against an advanced placement course because personally, I don't believe online I can do justice to the work for a true AP course. But I'd like to offer something called Secrets of Music Theory. That is, I think, all the information they don't give you in the books, all the tricks to being able to understand how to do all those things in music theory, but also the reasons for why they are. So I've divided it into all these secrets: the secrets of notation, secrets of rhythm, secrets of sound, that would include the vibrations and the harmonic series, the secrets of notes. You know, how did we develop this system of writing circles on lines? And talk about what that is. And then, of course, get into the nitty gritty of intervals, scales, and then chords, triads, seventh chords, inversions, cadences, how chord progressions work. One of the things that really bothers me when people take theory, no one teaches you how to count by fifths. We all know how to go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, but we never learn how to go C, F, B, E, A, D, G. And you want to, if you really are a musician, you want to know how to count backwards in fifths. That is, I just gave you one of the huge secrets to understanding harmony. So I'll be discussing that and the secrets of chord progression. Then get into form, understanding how motives and phrases work. And then how actually you construct a piece of music out of these smaller particle. You put these phrases together into something bigger. And then next step. So anyway, that's something I'll be offering later, and I'll give you more details. But I just wanted to show you how enriched this semester is going to be. Now, the final thing I want to say is that all of the stuff you're going to be doing in the chamber ensemble is going to lead to a recording you're going to make. So your goal this semester is to build your chops up to the point that you can do a live recording. That'll be our last rehearsal live, where you're going to perform a movement of a chamber piece. In addition, at home, you're going to perform this gorgeous piece I've picked, and I'll talk about it at the end of our session today, Bach's Wachet auf, one of the most glorious pieces I know of, written by Bach, and I found this incredible arrangement for orchestra. So we're going to perform that virtually. That's the piece you've probably heard, like that goes. So famous, and I'm going to talk about that in detail later. So you're going to record both of those things, and then on December 13th, we're going to have a concert virtually, and we're all going to tune in and listen to this concert. And then it's not just that we're going to listen to the recordings, it's actually going to be judged. The coaches will judge all of these ensembles and award prizes. And the top prize for each orchestra will be to play their movement on the stage of Carnegie Hall, lying behind my head here. And I think that should be a real goal for a lot of you, to practice your butts off and really do a great job. And we'll have recognition for all the groups that do a good job. So I think it's going to make this a very exciting semester. We've got a lot of limitations, obviously, with the pandemic, but I think it's something that's going to be safe, and it's going to allow you for a lot of growth. Now, before I go any farther, I want to introduce to you our chamber music program manager we just hired. She is so skilled in working with chamber ensembles. She's already helped us so much. She's going to explain how this whole thing will work, and then you'll get a chance to meet our coaches. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce Linnea Powell. Linnea, take it away.
Am I muted?
You're heard.
I'm heard. Okay, excellent. Hi, everyone. Thanks for the intro, Russell. My name is Linnea Powell. I'm a professional musician. I'm a viola player. So I perform all over Los Angeles, and I'm also an arts administrator. I am super excited to bring my experience from junior chamber music and also Viola Fest, both of which I directed for a handful of years, and bring that to LAYO to make this new program this fall work really, really well. In my portion of this orientation, I'm going to be covering some chamber music basics. I know from our auditions that a lot of our students haven't played chamber music at all ever, which is so exciting. And by the way, it is so awesome to see your faces. You guys have only been cells in Excel sheets so far because I wasn't in your auditions, but it is so cool to now make your names be tiny little squares of faces. So it's great to see you. So after talking about chamber music basics, we're going to talk about how to be prepared this semester. That's musical, and that's also COVID safety and preparedness. I saw in the chat there's some questions about how will winds and brass players wear masks, and we're going to get to that. So between my portion of the orientation and then Laura, the executive director, we will cover everything that you need to know. And in case this is too much information at once, which I totally understand, I'm a visual learner, so I totally get it. You'll be getting a PDF that summarizes everything that I'm talking about, and you'll get that this week, so that way you can reference it as many times as you need to this semester. So for some basics of why chamber music and just in general what chamber music is, it is so exciting that LAYO is offering this experience for all of you to safely make music in person together this semester when so much of our lives have pivoted to being online. This orientation as an example. And so right now, LAYO staff, myself, and coaches are super busy putting everyone who's auditioned into the concert orchestra and the symphony orchestra into chamber ensembles or small ensembles. So we're putting string players into string quartets, string trios. We have some low string ensembles. We're putting our woodwinds and brass into woodwind quintets. Woodwind quartets, we'll have some mixed ensembles, we'll have some brass quintets, some brass ensembles, and of course, our percussion ensemble. The way that we're making these groupings, just so you guys know, is based on playing level and also on age. So we want to make sure that we have as much compatibility in these groups as possible, and we find that age similarities and playing abilities together make for compatible groups. So the biggest difference between being in a youth orchestra and being in a chamber ensemble, this is especially true for the string players, is that it's one on a part if you're in a chamber ensemble. So as opposed to showing up at your orchestra rehearsal and you're in the violin section and there are 15 violins around you, right? At these rehearsals, you're gonna show up and you'll be the only one on your part. Woodwinds and brass are looking at me saying, yeah, that's every single rehearsal of my life, but the sound is going to be very different for you. Instead of you being in this huge sound of 60 of your peers, you're now going to be in a group of 4 people. So there really is much more individual emphasis on your own part in chamber music. It's kind of like every skill you use in orchestra in a giant magnifying glass when you're in chamber music. There's also no conductor. So that means that instead of somebody telling you when to start and how to play together with the beat, there's no one doing that. These are self-led. So students will be working together to figure out, how does this work? How do we start together? How do we play together? How do we end together? And instead of the conductor running, Russell won't be running rehearsals every week. Instead, we're going to be having one chamber music coach for your group. And that coach will be your guide to making this all happen. They'll be working with you every single week. They'll be giving you all the skills that you need. They'll be encouraging all of the growth and building and troubleshooting that's needed so that you can have a wonderful experience in your groups. And then in addition to all of that being different, I just sort of want to focus on the major skills, the sort of takeaways that chamber music provides. Like Russell said, everything that we do in chamber music is going to make us stronger orchestral musicians. And I want to focus on what those skills are in chamber music that make it so unique. So some of the skills that you guys will come away with this semester will be an increased ability to work with your peers. How do we give each other feedback? How do we make each other feel comfortable to play our best? How do we give constructive criticism in a way that encourages your peers and yourself to play better? So that's, how do we work together really well? How do we problem solve? So you guys are going to get some problem solving abilities. How do we locate what a problem is? And then how do we fix it, right? So how do we know what it is and how do we know how to fix it? When there's one person on a part, you guys are each going to get a chance to really develop your musical identity. If there's a 2-bar viola solo, which I'm very aware of, that is your chance to have your musical voice be heard for those 2 bars. And that's very different than if you're in the middle of a section. So your identity and how you want to play musically is going to really shine this semester. I always say that chamber music is the time where you put all of your studies, everything you're working on in your lessons, everything you've worked on in youth orchestras, it all comes together and it all really starts to play, all of your skills play off of each other and you really start to soar. So this is a wonderful thing for young musicians where you are right now. And so sort of all of those skills that I just talked about fit together into, my opinion, what the largest takeaway is of chamber music, which is teamwork. I call chamber music the ultimate teamwork activity. Your group's success this semester depends on you. It's no longer just you showing up to rehearsal and playing. Your preparedness musically, how much you're practicing, your attendance, your punctuality, everything that you do affects the 2 to 3 other people who are in your group. And so accountability is huge for chamber music. So when we talk about preparedness, which we'll get into in a minute, it all goes back into this larger thing of you are now part of a team. When you get your assignments this week, you are now a team member, and your success of the whole group, whether you're going to be vying for that spot at Carnegie Hall to get that feature, or you just want to make the best possible recording, your group will be as successful as what you bring to it. Okay, so let's get into some preparation. How can you guys prepare for this semester? It's a little bit different. It's not what you've normally done. And then we have the whole other part of COVID-19. So how can you prepare for that? Like I started by saying, we're busy grouping you right now into awesome groups, and we're assigning you great music, and we're assigning you coaches, and you will all get an email by Thursday this week at the latest with your assignment and your music. Our first rehearsal is the Sunday following. So you're gonna get an email on Thursday, and your first rehearsal is on Sunday. It's not very much time between Thursday and Sunday. So what can we do to prepare to the best of our abilities? In a perfect world, you practice it as much as you can and you have it down and you're ready to go. We know this isn't a perfect world. You guys are all starting school. This is a crazy time right now. So my best piece of advice for you all to prepare is, as soon as you get your assignment, go to YouTube and listen to a recording. You will have your sheet music emailed and you'll have your score emailed. For some of you, this might be the first time that you're ever following along music with a score. For some of you, you might be an ensemble that's arranged for you, and so the exact instrumentation, like if you're in a brass ensemble that's been arranged for you, your exact instrumentation might not be on YouTube. But you can still find the piece, and you can still learn a lot by listening to it. So listening familiarity before your first rehearsal is going to be really, really important. And looking at the score. If you've never looked at a score, there's no time like the present. You're going to find your part, and you can look sort of above and below and see what everyone is doing at the same time. And your coach is going to go over how to do that in more detail as the semester progresses. So basically what I would like to say is the most preparation for early on is going to happen between the first and second coachings, of course, because you'll have more time with your music, but you can still prepare a lot between Thursday and Sunday.
That's such a great introduction you've given, Linnea, about all of that. And I think most of our students are familiar with going on YouTube to being able to listen to music. I just want to also say Linnea has been so helpful along with our coaches in picking outstanding music. I mean, the music all of you are going to be doing is going to be so rewarding in itself, whether it's an early Mozart string quartet or whether it's a percussion piece from world music that I've never even heard. That I can see that everything's been done on a very high level. So I just want to add that. And now why don't you talk about the nuts and bolts? I already see people are asking about, do I have to wear masks and all that
Here we
stuff?
go. Let's do it. So that goes into general preparedness. So I'm going to go through and I will be hitting a lot of COVID preparedness. And remember that anything that I don't answer, Laura will cover. And any questions you have at the end of that we'll address. So I hope that that's clear. So what do you bring to rehearsals? Okay, you're going to bring to every single rehearsal your sheet music. Everyone is responsible for printing. We're not going to be providing anything. This has to do with COVID safety. You need to bring everything that you need for rehearsal. We're not sharing materials. And because it's chamber music, you're responsible for also not only bringing your part, but also the score. That way you can quickly assess it and look at it as your coach points to things. I've coached chamber music forever, and I'm so used to passing around the score and everybody getting in close and looking at it. That is not what we're doing this semester. You need to have your own materials. You're also responsible for bringing your own music stand. Super important, we're not sharing any materials. So you have sheet music, score, music stand. The other biggie, which is true for even non-COVID related rehearsals, bring a pencil. Don't be the one that doesn't bring a pencil. I've lived so much of my life being the one that doesn't bring the pencil to string quartet rehearsal. I gotta tell you, it doesn't make friends. Bring a pencil, especially now that we're not sharing. Have multiple, throw them in your case. Hide them in weird places in your case. It works for me. The other thing that you need to bring, because we're going to be outside and shade will be provided, but shade doesn't protect against wind. So for any of you that have never played outside before, if you have 2 sheets of paper on a music stand, it can be the slightest little breeze and your music will go flying. So I will include a link on the PDF or an easy way to reference the type of clips that we recommend. Short answer, clothespins. Wood clothespins are great. Plastic clothespins are great. They're easily available on Amazon. They're super cheap. If you have those big alligator clips, or sometimes called binder clips that are black, those can work too. And we're gonna ask that everybody provides 4 clips for themselves. You can have more. You can be that student that has 25 clips around their stand if that makes you feel secure, but 4 is the minimum and the wind will not blow your music away at that point. Going back to being outside, you'll each need to bring water. Hydration will be super important, especially as those Santa Anas kick in September and October. You guys need to be hydrated. And we will be in masks. So I'll get into masks in a second, but I've been playing a little bit in masks. I think some of us have as well too. Anyone who's done it even once knows that you get really dehydrated. So water, water, water. And if you need to bring any snacks for any reason, bring snacks for yourself. No sharing of anything. So when it comes to masks, Laura will be going through the protocol of how we safely enter and exit and how we set up and how we take care of as many of these variables as we can. When it comes to masks, string players will be wearing masks the entire time for every rehearsal. If you need to hydrate, you will quickly hydrate and put your mask back on. Coaches will be wearing masks the whole time. For woodwinds and brass, for our first rehearsal, we're going to ask that you wear your mask at all times that you're not playing. That means when you stop for a rehearsal conversation, you put your mask back on. It means if you stop and they're workshopping a part, your coach is workshopping a part with your teammate, with your quartet mate, and you're not playing, you put your mask on. We will be emailing out a pattern for masks with slits in them. That pattern will also include a way to make a mask that covers the bells of brass instruments. And this is from many, many collegiate studies. This is what's been doing, what universities have been doing for brass instruments. And I believe it also works for reed instruments. But we're sourcing right now a way to get these to you that are already made. At this point, we only have the patterns for you to make yourself. This will not be required at the first rehearsal. At some point in the semester, when we have a plan for either getting you the pattern and materials maybe, or getting you the actual mask, then it will be required. The instrument that this doesn't cover for the slit masks are flutes. And I want to just say first and foremost that woodwinds and brass will be set up about 8 feet from each other outside. The flute safety is still an ongoing conversation, but I want you to know that we are pulling up every possible resource for COVID safety for rehearsing outside. And we're going to get you, as soon as anything is required, you will be notified with enough time to get it, purchase it, make it if you need to, and bring it to rehearsal. And I think that covers all of my, with the sheet music. If you can possibly put it into a folder or a binder, it would be great. That often helps for playing outside as well. So just making sure you have something to keep it nice and straight. If you show up with crinkled music outside, the wind likes it even more.
Yeah, and it's a good idea too to test it, because I like the idea of a binder, but sometimes, it's important to have a good stand too, because if the standard wire stand will not hold everything. Yeah, I wonder if we should talk about the stands and how we're doing
Sure,
it.
yeah, I can speak to stands. Wire stands are okay. They're the cheapest and most available stands. They might fall over in wind, but I don't, that's a case by case basis. If you are able to go one step up, a stand that I really recommend is the Peak stand, and I'll put this into the PDF. It's PEAK, and it's a foldable stand that when you unfold it, it turns.
Oops. I just got cut off. Okay, did we just lose Linnea? Boom, boom.
Did I freeze? Am I
Yeah,
frozen?
you froze. You're back though. You're unfrozen. Oops, maybe not. You're freezing again.
Okay, I'm not sure what I got to, Russell. Did I get to name dropping my brand of stand?
You did, and you mentioned that you're gonna put a notice in for the stand. Okay, Linnea, that was such an excellent introduction. Can I move on now and introduce a little bit?
That's great.
Okay, I think every one of you know her, but maybe not because we have so many students. Our executive director, Laura K. Swanson, will now come on board and introduce our staff, our coaching staff. Is that right, Laura? Maybe not.
Hello.
There
Hi,
she is.
everybody.
Yeah.
I am Laura K. Swanson, the executive director. I've been with LAYO for just over 5 years now. And usually I get to meet all the parents and the new students at auditions. But this year I got to listen to some of the auditions, which was really fun for me, and I don't normally get to do that. So first off, I want to introduce our coaches for this semester. We have incredible musicians who are going to be working with each of the chamber groups. So I'm going to introduce them one by one, and they're just going to come and just give you a little brief about themselves and how they, became a musician, why they're playing music. So first off is Niv Ashkenazi, who is a violinist.
Hi, everyone. I'm Niv. I'm the violin coach, or one of the violin coaches, I should say. And I'm really excited to be here. I am a LAYO alum. I was with LAYO since its second year and later on their board and now coaching. So I'm really excited to be here. I am from California, and I do a lot of solo and chamber music playing as well as educating. So I'm just happy to be here with you guys. And I got started because I fell in love with the violin at the age of 2.5, basically, from watching a musician, a busker. So, and then by age 13, decided to make a career of it. And here I am now.
Awesome. Thank you so much. If you don't know what busking is, that's a street musician that you might see on Santa Monica, like Promenade, or maybe in Paris, if you're ever there or we ever get to go there again. So next up, we have Adrienne Pope, who is also a violinist.
Hi, everybody. I'm Adrienne. I'm a violinist, and I'm based in LA. And I do a lot of different things in my career. I play a lot of chamber music, which is one of my favorite things to do. And I also play in the Hollywood Bowl Orchestra during most summers, not this summer, but most summers. I also love to teach, and I do some recording sessions, a lot of different things. And I think that's one of the main things that why I decided to pursue music, because there's so many different things to do in this field. I think I do a lot, and then I think about all the other things that people do, like music librarian services and music therapy, all different types of things. And I think it's really cool that you'll never get bored.
Awesome. Thank you, Adrienne. Awesome. And next up is Brian Gonzalez, who is a violist and has been one of our viola coaches for several years now.
Hi, thanks, Laura. I'm Brian Gonzalez. I teach viola, and I've been with LAYO. This is my 3rd or 4th season now. It's just such a cool opportunity to get to do chamber music, because I'll start with what got me into music. And I think for me, thinking about it, I think what got me into music was the community. It's just, there's so many intelligent, creative people in the field. And I think just collaborating and getting to, like Adrienne, across so many different mediums, is just so special and rewarding in its own way. I teach quite a bit too. And looking at this roster, it's kind of like the strangest coaching staff, rather. It's the strangest like amalgamation of all my life. Like Beth Park Zhao was one of my early chamber music coaches. I played in one of my first string quartets with Niv. I'm also native Angelino when I was like 10 or 11, which is just the weirdest worlds colliding. And then I've done some session work and some teaching with Adrienne and Linnea. So it's really, really a cool opportunity for me just to be surrounded with so many different avenues of my life and really brilliant people. So I'm looking forward to coaching and helping with a different kind of avenue this semester with chamber music. So.
Oh, thank you so much. And that just, the power of music, that you just, all of these different intersections and life and levels and lineage. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. You're always going to be meeting back up with people that you've met at some point or played with someone at some point in time. Next is Stephen Green, who is a cello coach.
Hi, everybody. I'm Stephen. I started playing cello when I was 9. That was when my parents took me to a symphony concert, and they pointed down at I was way up high, and they pointed down at the orchestra and said, "What do you think you want to play? What instrument?" And the cellos were at the front, so I said that. And here I am, all these years later. I was originally from Canada, and I moved here some 20-some years ago. Coaching and teaching has become one of the best parts of my life. It's very exciting and enriching, and I love working with the people and hearing young people learn and improve, and that's one of the things I like to do. I like to bring your level up. One thing I made a note to reinforce Linnea's and Russell's point. Please, if you can, punch your music with a 3-hole punch and put it in a binder. That's what I do. I'm in a string quartet, and we're actually playing a concert this Friday and next Sunday, outdoors with masks separated by space, and I put everything in the binder, and then I clip things to the binder with laundry clips. So that way the wind doesn't blow it around. If it's separate on your stand, it will never survive. Otherwise, I really look forward to working with you all. I love chamber music, and that's about it for now.
That's great. Thank you so much for mentioning that about a folder or a binder of some sort. That will definitely help if there are any wind issues. So I definitely encourage you that. Now keep all of your music together in one place. So next up we have Beth Park, who is also a cellist. Maybe she didn't get into the 99 people. So anyway.
I'm sorry.
Okay, there she is.
Myself. It's my privilege to be here, and I look forward to meeting some of our students soon. My name is Beth Park, and I'm a cello teacher and performer, and I've been teaching chamber orchestra, chamber music, coaching youth orchestras, and teaching one-on-one, and at schools as an instrumental specialist for close to 3 decades, I would say. But so I've been doing that in this town of Los Angeles, coming from a different culture. I'm originally from South Korea, and I've learned that music actually is served me as a universal language. I remember having such a tough time getting used to this culture and also the language barrier. When my grades were sliding, I knew that I was good at 2 things: math and orchestra. And the music really brought me up in many ways. But why I became a musician is that music, when I am able to express myself through music, when I couldn't express through language, I realized that also the audience was touched, and that we could all share the same beauty in this music. And also, I really adore students, and that it's a privilege to be connected with the students, not just 1 year in schools, but through the months and through the years, and building relationships and knowing what they become after college. And all those things really give me such a joy in life. And that's probably why I became a musician.
Thank you so much, Beth. And that's another thing that you'll realize, that these other students that you meet in this program, you will be making friends for life. You're going to be in touch with these people for many, many years to come. That's another, it's just a wonderful thing about music. Next, we have Adrian Rosen, who plays double bass.
Hi, everybody. How did I become a musician? I think it was sort of like Steven. I just saw this instrument, the bass, and I looked at it and it just spoke to me. And it's funny because I had started on a couple other instruments earlier in life. I had been a clarinetist, and for me, it didn't work. And then you put a bass in my hand and it was all over. Also, a thought about music blowing away, and that is, if anyone has a sheet of plexiglass, you can just throw that on top of your music, especially if it's big enough to cover 2 pages, and your problem is solved too. It's a little complicated to carry it around with you, and it will tend to get scratched a little bit, but that's okay. But anyway, I'm also a jazz player, and the similarities in chamber music and jazz are pretty strong. In other words, everybody is one on a part, and the quality of the music is not just you being an individual and playing your part, but blending with everyone else. So I just encourage people, after you've sort of learned your own part, your challenge is to listen as much as you're listening to yourself, listen to everyone else. And then the quality of the whole musical experience will get so much better.
Fantastic. I agree. That's exactly right. Okay, next we have Sarah Wass, who is a flautist.
Hi, everybody. Great to meet you. And a public elementary school in upstate New York that had an instrumental program that was offered for free to all the students. And I chose it because it looked like a magic wand. And it has been kind of magical because it's taken me around the world to perform. I'm new to LAYO, but I'm not new to this field. I've been working for the last 20 years in the Los Angeles area as a flutist and a teaching artist and an arts administrator. And I can also share that I'm the mother of a young musician. My 7-year-old daughter has been studying Suzuki violin for the last 3 years, and every morning I am her practice partner. So I just want to give a huge congratulations to all the parents on this phone call for the support and encouragement that you have provided to your kids to get them to the level that they can play with these students. And I look forward to making music with you all this fall.
Awesome. Oh, I love this. This is making me so happy. And next we have Leah Cohn, who plays bassoon.
Hi, everyone. I'm Leah. I'm going to be the bassoon coach this fall. I've done some substitute coaching for LAYO in the past, so some of you guys who have been around for a few years might recognize me. I perform and teach in the LA area, and I'm also the director for the Conejo Valley and the LA branches of junior chamber music. And I've been playing bassoon since I was 9, which is pretty early, but I really decided to become a musician in high school when I think I had so many amazing extracurricular experiences in youth orchestra and at summer festivals. And I realized that that's when I was the most happy and also the most challenged. So I think when I was a junior in high school, I decided that I wanted to go into music. But similar to what Sarah said towards all the parents, it's really the parents that make all of this possible. I grew up in New Hampshire. There wasn't a youth orchestra in my town. My parents were driving me 2 hours each way to youth orchestra, and that's without traffic, just through the snow, because it was New Hampshire. So, without all of the commitment from families, none of us would be where we are now. So I am very excited to get to work with you guys this fall. And chamber music is one of my favorite things. I've always had a big interest, not just in wind quintets, but in unusual instrumentation, in weird duos like bassoon and flute or bassoon and violin is what I play in now. So no matter what instrumentation you're playing with, whether it's something typical or not. Either there's great music for it, or you can create great music for it. And playing with, you know, getting to work closely with other people and make music together on, you know, not in an orchestra, but really getting to creatively decide just you and a couple other people is really great. So I think you're all going to enjoy it.
And what you said about the parents, we depend on our parents so heavily. And this semester, we have parents who have really stepped up to the plate and offering their homes as locations for these rehearsals, which I will talk about shortly. But we could never do this program without all the parents. Next up, we have Castor Teo, who is a trumpet player, and he has been one of our brass coaches for the last few seasons.
Hi everyone, I'm Castor. I'm a brass coach at LAYO. This is my second semester, second season now. So I enjoy very much coaching all the students, and also I enjoy seeing student success. Originally, I wasn't a trumpet player before. I started with a violin and accounting in England. And after my mom forced me to study honors degree, I just dropped everything. I started a trumpet studies in England. So that's how it brought me here to United States. After that, I completed my doctorate degree in USC. I've been playing in town, everywhere you name it, in the Philharmonic in Malaysia, Qatar. So hope to see. I'm really looking forward to see everybody in the coach session.
Fantastic. Okay, and then Kevin Good, who is our percussion coach.
Hello.
Yeah, there he is.
Can you hear me? Cool. I'm Kevin. I'm a percussion coach. I kind of joined LAYO last spring around March, so that lasted for a couple weeks, and then of course we went into shutdown. I got into music in 4th grade when my mom simply asked me if I wanted to play drums or piano, and I don't know why, but I just chose drums, kind of stuck with it, really enjoyed it, and then as I entered high school, I got more involved in orchestra and chamber music and playing all the other percussion instruments like the mallet instruments, and really kind of always stuck with it and always loved it. I think just naturally I'm really into making things, and so making things with sound and learning all these different techniques and all these different instruments was always really fun. And I'm also a composer in LA as well, so that also ties into making things for myself. And I teach at the Pierce Community College percussion lessons, so a lot of fun teaching, and I was starting to do some percussion ensemble stuff there as well until we did remote learning this semester. But chamber music is awesome. It's absolutely my favorite stuff. And kind of as Adrian said, my kind of rubric and go-to rule is I always try and know everyone's part just as well, if not better than my own. Because if I can hear what they're doing, I know exactly how I fit in with them. And it's really like such a cool teamwork project. So I'm looking forward to it.
Teamwork. Thank you, Kevin. Yeah. And so we have 2 additional coaches, one of whom is Dalton Trand, who plays clarinet. He did make it into the Zoom room. He's on Facebook, but he is joining us for this semester, and he is, I think, finishing up his master's at UCLA. I hope I got that right. And then we have Cosima Luther, who is not on the call today, but she is a violinist, and she has worked with LAYO in the past. So we have just an incredible group of professional musicians that have done such a plethora of things, from coaching and orchestras and session work, and it's just such an amazing group. So thank you so much for sharing your stories. I'm going to share my story really quick, just because that's what I want to do. So I actually was a professional opera singer, but I started out, my mom was a pianist and an organist, and so I ended up taking piano lessons and then taking violin lessons and then joining choir. And they put me up in front of the choir director did, and said, Laura is very unusual. She has vibrato at a very young age, which is the ha, that thing. So then from that point on, I just went on to basically do musical theater and then start studying opera. And then I have sung with the Metropolitan Opera, Los Angeles Opera. I've sung at Carnegie Hall. So I've just had just a wonderful time being a singer, professional musician, and music is one of the great loves of my life. So now down to some more info for everybody. So I hope you have the calendar, and as you can see from our calendar, next Sunday we will start the in-person outdoor rehearsals. We have 7 of these rehearsals throughout the semester. Okay, they're alternating with the online Zoom sessions, which are varied, with our alums doing audition prep, talking about colleges, with Russell doing score analysis.
You want me to screen share the audition schedule? I mean, the rehearsal schedule?
If you'd like to, yeah, go for it.
Okay.
Everybody should have this, and make sure that you double check this and that you are available for all of the Sundays. Now, you're allowed, we're going to talk more about this, about absences. You're going to be allowed 1 for the in-person rehearsals and 1 for the Zoom sessions. Okay, so let me just explain, because I know everybody's like, how is this going to work this semester? Where are we going? Who are we playing with? Who's coaching us? So we have been putting together this gigantic grid. We have almost 120 students this semester. So you can imagine that we're breaking that down into trios, quartets, quintets. This is a lot of groups. I have upwards of 11 different rehearsal locations for this semester. So for those of you who have 2 students in the program, well, how are we going to get them to different houses on the same day? So we are doing everything possible so that both, if they're siblings, they will be going to the same rehearsal location, right, when there is an in-person rehearsal, right? They may be in different groups, and so one of them may be rehearsing in the first block, which is from 12:30 to 2, and the next one may be rehearsing in the second block, which is from 2 to 3:30, or there's also a third block, 3:30 to 5. So the rehearsals are from 12:30 to 5 o'clock. All right, each student will be assigned to a chamber group that will rehearse for a 90-minute block, whether it's a block 1, 12:30 to 2, block 2, 2 to 3:30, or block 3, 3:30 to 5. Okay, is that clear? So we're making every effort. For instance, if a parent has offered their home to host the rehearsal in their backyard, we will be assigning their child to a group that will rehearse at their house. Okay, we're trying to work this out. We know you all live all over Los Angeles as well. So the Zoom meetings, I just got a question. So the Sunday Zoom meetings are from 2 to 4 p.m. When we have an online Zoom meeting, it's going to be from 2 to 4 p.m. Okay, so when you have an in-person rehearsal, you'll be there for 90 minutes. When it's on Zoom, it's a 2-hour session. Okay, so each of those Zoom meetings. Keep your questions coming in, because I'm happy to answer any of those. So we have had several different parents who have offered to have been so generous to open up their homes. Okay, so we'll be rehearsing in backyards with shade. If you're in a string group, you will be at least 6 feet apart. If you are in a woodwind or brass group, you will be at least 8 feet apart. Linnea has addressed the masks. So everyone will need to wear their mask the minute that they arrive to rehearsal, and wear it throughout rehearsal, with the exception of getting a drink of water. Okay. We have a whole protocol, basically, of rehearsal safety and health guidelines. So one of the big things is, normally in our semester, all of our parents are allowed to come into the rehearsals and sit in the rehearsals, because we're in these big rooms, we'd all be in big groups. Because of the limitations with the number of people that we can have in one place at one time, we're not going to be allowing parents who are not the host parents to come into the backyards for the rehearsals. We already have at least 5 people with a coach, maybe 6 people with a coach, so we're not going to be able to do that. So you'll need to wait in your car during the 90 minutes, or go do an errand and then come back up and pick up your student. We will be accounting for arriving. So arrival time, you will come through the gate with your mask on. Every student will then sanitize their hands. You will go to your spot. You will set up your stand. You will get your music out. You will have your water. You will wear your mask. Coaches have also been given guidelines, so that normally they might come over and write on your music, right? Or they might tune your instrument. And we're not going to be doing it that way. It's going to be very different, okay? And then when the rehearsal is over, there will be a 5 to 10 minute gap so that everybody can pack up their things, sanitize hands on the way out, get to their cars before the second block of students or the third block of students comes through the gate for their rehearsal. The host parents of the home will wipe down the chairs. Now, probably everybody's wondering about restrooms. Yes, so if you need to use a restroom, there will be one available to you. You will wear your mask, it will be inside. You will go straight into the restroom. There will be seat covers, there will be hand soap, there will be paper towels, there will be hand sanitizer. Okay, we have to have that available to you, but we cannot put out houses at all of the different locations. So we're going to go into the house if you need to. Now there's smaller, shorter blocks, so we may mitigate some of the bathroom usage, but we have to have it available, absolutely, okay? So as far as warming up, I suggest that if you can, but for string players, you can't necessarily warm up beforehand because of heat, travel, etc. So warm up time will be built into the 90 minutes. We'll have to build in all of these different things into this 90 minutes that we have for each one of the chamber group rehearsals for each group. Okay, great. So we are putting together this gigantic grid of all of these different chamber groups. And as Linnea mentioned, we will be sending out, basically, you will get an email that says you are in this chamber group, and you will know who is in your chamber group. You will know who is your coach. You will have basically the same coach for the entire semester. If you're in a woodwind group, right, with varied woodwind instruments, we might sometimes have a couple of the woodwind coaches switch. So you might have a flute one week and then a couple of weeks later, a clarinet coach, just so that each different instrument has a coach that is on their instrument, okay? And then you will have one location for your in-person rehearsal. You will go to that, every time you have an in-person rehearsal, you will go to that same location and you will go at the same time. So if you're signed at 12:30, you will go at 12:30 to, Janice's house from 12:30 to 2, okay? So it's not gonna be confusing where you're gonna go to this house there or you're gonna be at this different time, okay? So it'll be consistent. So do we have any questions about that at this point? All right, I feel good about that. Okay, so before the next rehearsal, as Linnea mentioned, you will get your chamber group assignment, location, coach, time. You will receive a link via Dropbox for your music. You will know what piece you're playing, and you will need to download and print your music to bring to rehearsal with you, okay? Water is going to be so important. There will not be water available at these locations. We're trying to limit any kind of interaction, so you need to bring enough water. If you need a snack, bring a snack, okay, to the rehearsal with you, right? And first, I'm going to reiterate, your music, your stand, a pencil, okay, your instrument, your mask, okay? So someone was asking about Carnegie Hall details. So I want to just explain this a little bit more. So Carnegie Hall, so every other year we try to do, we offer a special tour or a special concert. Now these are not included in the price of tuition, of course, because if we're going to Europe, it's going to be a separate cost. So it's kind of a separate program, but everyone in both orchestras, it is open to them to participate, okay? So there is a cost associated with traveling to Carnegie Hall, but it's open to everyone. The competition itself is about that the pieces that everyone is learning in their chamber groups, and they're going to rehearse for these 7 different rehearsals, and then they're going to record that piece at their last rehearsal. So on December 13th, we will have this virtual orchestral performance and competition. And we will play the chamber music pieces and we will decide a winner. And the members of that chamber group will play that piece on the stage of Carnegie Hall, right? Allowing that you are actually going on the Carnegie Hall tour. In addition, I think Russell mentioned that we're also doing a virtual orchestral piece similar to the Nimrod that we did last semester. And I will send out a link to everyone that's new that did not see this. It is such a beautiful piece. It's a testament to our time about this whole situation with COVID and coming together and still being able to be together even though we're apart. So we'll be doing another piece of music just like that where you will be working on that alongside your chamber piece and your rehearsals with your coach. And then you will be recording yourself playing your part. We will, of course, you will receive a click track with Russell conducting, as well as a video of one of our coaches playing your individual part. So you'll be able to learn that and have those tools so that you can make the best recording possible for us to put together in this giant, wonderful piece, these incredible virtual orchestral performances that everyone thinks are just magical and come together like that. So the other thing that I want to talk about is tuition. So for all the new students, you paid an audition fee, and then there is basically a remaining tuition. So tuition is $575 per semester, for the fall semester and the spring semester. If you pay for the entire year up front, you get a $50 discount, so it's $1,100. If you can only pay for the fall semester, absolutely fine. I wanted to make sure that everyone knows that we do have tuition assistance available to everyone who's accepted into the orchestra. So if you need that, please apply. The form is online, and you can send that to me. I also want to say that we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and we have a board of directors. So many of our parents, as well as former parents, are on the board of directors. If you're interested in serving on the board of directors, any of our parents, please be in touch with me, and I would love to talk to you about that opportunity. So I think that is my portion. Again, if you have questions, we are happy to answer any of them. But I hope that kind of clarifies how this semester is going to work, how these rehearsals are going to be structured, how you're going to be assigned to a group, a home, etc. Okay.
Laura, I just want to chime in and say, first of all, thank you for such a clear summary. And I just want all of you to see that we've put a lot of thought and intelligence in this, because we respect all of you as well. So you can hear from everything that Laura and Linnea have said that safety has been number one. You know, we know that outdoors the virus transmission is much less likely, yet even so, we're taking a lot of steps to minimize that even further. So that's the number one thing. But number two, how much thought we're putting into making sure that this is a really good use of our time, and that this is something you're really going to be able to grow through, you know, meeting this amazing staff of coaches and seeing how we're thinking about it. But all that aside, we've never done this before. So we expect, you know, just like we have these 90-minute slots, you know, it's not going to be perfect. And so we're going to ask for a lot of understanding as well, because there are going to be things that come up that we just can't expect. We're mature. So I'm expecting that from the parents and the students as well. I just want you to have a lot of patience and just keep really good communication. I just wanted to add that, Laura.
I love that. Thank you. And the other thing I want to say is talk about rain. We live here in Southern California, right? And generally in the fall, we don't have too much rainfall. But I'm just going to say, if it is raining, there's a chance the rehearsal will be canceled, because not every home may have a covered area, right? And we want to protect your instruments, right? And we don't want people getting sick being out in the cold. So we'll let you know. We're going to pray that there is no rain. And let me just say, our colleagues at youth orchestras on the East Coast, they can't do it. It's too cold. They don't have the weather to do it. So we're lucky that we have this opportunity that we can make this happen and do these outside rehearsals. I know it's hot right now, but we're going to hope it cools down too. So everybody just pray for moderate weather and no rain. Okay, that's what's happening. So I am now going to turn this over to our orchestra manager, Anna Kushnarov. Now, most of you have been in touch with her about your auditions, about the semester. So you have been going back and forth, phone calls, etc. So she is going to talk to you about the importance of communication. That is really important, because there are 120 of you students, there are twice that many parents, and there is one Anna and one me and one Russell and one Linnea. There's 4 of us. You guys outnumber us by a lot. So it's really important that we are communicating back and forth about absences, about running late, about if there is an issue that you need resolved, right? Anna is your first point of contact, but I am here, Russell is here, and Linnea is here. And we'll make sure that you have our contact information as well. So I'm going to turn this over to Anna.
Hi guys. Yeah, so Laura basically said it all almost. So yeah, I'm the orchestra manager. I am also a violinist and a LAYO alum, as Russell mentioned. I was in the orchestra, I think during the early years, around 2006, 2008. So very long time that this wonderful orchestra has been around. So I'm here as LAYO administration. I'm basically the communications hub for the orchestra. So as you probably realize, communication is going to be more important than ever. Because as Laura so calculatedly mentioned, there are more than 100 of you and only just so few of us to really maintain control of these this really elaborate network that we're setting up every Sunday. We're no longer meeting in one location. We have these rehearsals spaced in different homes around LA. So basically, you're going to be responsible for staying in communication with me, and I will be making sure to be reaching out to all of you as best as I can. The best way to reach me is either by call or text by my direct cell number. So please take a moment. If you do have your phone around, just make sure you have my number in, okay? My number is 323-854-4332. I will always be available at any time, and on the day of in-person rehearsals. During the week, I will always be sure to respond at my earliest availability. For email correspondence too.
Can you repeat that number one more time? I'm going to put it in the chat.
You know what, even better, I'm just going to drop my contact info right in the chat.
Perfect.
Just because I'm about to give you guys my email address as well. As many of you know, I manage the LAYO List email account. All of you have been getting your information about the auditions from this. So just be sure, for returning students, this is the same as it's always been. For new students, you know, this is the email that you've been getting all of your correspondence from, basically. So please expect to receive weekly reminder emails from this address about each upcoming Sunday rehearsal, our Zoom sessions, and information about LAYO events and activities. You can email me at any time with questions or issues. You don't have to limit it just to the Sunday days. So now, very important, as Laura did mention before as well, attendance. So each student, you will be allowed one excused absence for the in-person rehearsals, and then one absence for the online Zoom sessions, okay? To excuse yourself for absences, you have to please notify me via email as soon as possible, and no later than 2 weeks in advance. You know, that is both if you must miss a rehearsal or online session. And you know, as there are only 7 rehearsals, and since these are smaller groups, we need you to remember that the other students in your chamber ensemble are really counting on you to be prepared and present for these rehearsals. So even one absence is already considered a lot, since these in-person rehearsals are limited and not occurring every consecutive week. So for notifying me about absences in the case that you are sick, please stay home. Priority number 1, we want everyone to stay safe and healthy this semester. So if you miss more than one chamber music rehearsal, if for some reason you have, due to illness, family medical emergencies, plus any kind of excused travel plans, what have you, it's very important that every student take their commitment to the program and their chamber group very seriously, because if you are having too many absences, please be aware that you may be jeopardizing your future membership in the orchestra. You know, if we all give our 100%, then you know that amazing things are going to happen, right? So on rehearsal days, again, you must call or text me if you are running late or have become ill and cannot attend your rehearsal. As soon as you notify me, I will relay this information to your coach and your chamber group, okay? If you're having any issues with regard to rehearsal, sheet music, another student, or anything else LAYO related, please let me know as soon as possible so that we can help solve things together, okay? We cannot help if we're not aware that there is a problem. So please feel free to reach out, even if there's a tentative issue. Russell, Laura, Linnea, our wonderful coaches, and myself, we're all here to make sure and ensure that you're all going to have a fantastic LAYO experience. I'll be reaching out to you, all of you, well, in larger frequency to check in during this semester. And this is going to be via phone and email. Since it's impossible for me to be at every chamber rehearsal every week, I'll be doing my best to just stay in touch with all of you and update you on what is happening. And definitely I need to hear what's happening from you guys directly, what's going on in your chamber groups, how progress is going. Again, anything you have to say or have a question about, even if it's not directly to me, it should go to me so I can make sure that it gets to the right person who can answer this question, okay? So just remember, no matter how small, just text me, call me, email me. And yeah, I hope you see I've included just my phone number and my email there in the chat, but otherwise it should be at the end of almost every email from LAYO, from that address. So thanks very much. It's a real pleasure for me to
Anna, I just want to piggyback on that because I want them to hear something you said. You said some really important things about absences. Remember that if you're absent, you know, in one of these chamber rehearsals, your group is missing an essential instrument to perform their piece. Now, obviously, if it's an emergency and you're sick, that's one thing. But you really want to make every effort to attend all of these rehearsals because we just don't have very many, and it will definitely affect the entire group's playing. I wanted to say that. The other thing I wanted to say is that Laura and Linnea and Anna have gone to unbelievable lengths to try to program. I mean, think of what we're doing. We're taking this huge, large orchestra of over 100 people and breaking it into all these ensembles, trying to account for age, trying to account for playing level. Obviously, nothing. It's not going to be perfect. We can't make it so the location is always going to be right. You may not be in the perfect group. This is not about perfection. But what we have done is we've strived to make sure that every group is going to be a valuable experience. So I just wanted to piggyback on what you said, Anna, because I want people to understand that we're doing everything we can, but with limitations, it's just not able to make it perfect.
Yeah. That being said, I meant to say one more thing. Because we have so many students, I am still in need of a couple of host homes for these rehearsals. And I am particularly in need of a woodwind host home. And when I say this is because, as I mentioned before, I'm trying to make it so that if a parent is hosting a rehearsal, their student's rehearsal will be at that house. So I need a house for my woodwind groups, basically. So I need a host home that has a student who is a woodwind player. I also can use this for brass. So I'm looking for 2 or 3 more volunteers. So you can email me, laura.k.swanson@gmail.com. Throw it in the chat. You can send it to Anna. Just let us know if you're open to do this. So we're so grateful. We're so grateful to everyone that has volunteered thus far. So we have a lot of students, and we're so thrilled to have such an incredible response for our auditions. So we just need a few more places. At this point, I think we have like 11 to 12 different locations for rehearsals. So yeah, it's quite something. That's all for me. So right. I actually was planning to turn it back over to Russell, who is gonna do some fun stuff with regards to the music. We're gonna talk about music.
Yeah, thank you, Laura. You know, this is a lot of information, and you can see how hard we've worked this summer to put it all together. We have an incredible team. I just want to say again to the coaches, I'm just so excited for you working with the students this semester. So it's a lot of responsibility, and your safety is something we're very concerned about as well. But I think it's going to be a very valuable experience for all the students and you. And we'll see how this goes. I think I wanted to talk. I'm seeing in the chat room a lot of questions about what the Zoom things will be like, and I'll go into that for a second. I see you're getting some response about some extra homes, and Laura can give you all the answers to those questions about what we need in a home in terms of access and bathrooms and all of that. Okay, very good. What I would like to do. Well, let me just first. This is what I'd like to do. I want to take a break. I think it's a lot to listen for. So what I would like to do, I'm going to trust you'll come back. Laura, would that be okay? I'd like to have a 5-minute stretch where everyone can get up, get some water, and let me tell you what I'm going to do when you come back. I'm going to give you a whole lesson on Bach's cantata Wachet auf, not the cantata, the actual excerpt Wachet auf that we're going to be performing as an orchestra. It has an unbelievable tradition. It's one of Bach's most famous pieces, but I'm going to give you information about it you probably won't get anywhere else. Plus, you're going to sing part of the chorale in German. So, and I think you'll come to a real understanding of what it's like. It's going to help deepen your playing. I'll also play some recordings of it. But for right now, what is it? 3:27. Let's take 5 minutes, and at 3:32, let's come back, all right? And I will talk about that and answer any other questions anyone has. It's wonderful to see you all. Okay, I'll see you in 5. we back? Let me see if we're back. I'm seeing a lot of people back. Raise your hands if you're back. Yes, I see you. God, it's so wonderful seeing all of you. And coaches and everything. Wonderful. God, I wish I had the time to say hello to each of you individually. But let me just see if there's anything I need to know with the chats, and I'll get going. Okay, great. Just a little bit about me. I realize that we have a lot of people. I'm looking at Samuel and Molly and people who are new to the orchestra, and you don't know much about me. I don't want to give a long biography, but I will tell you I'm a composer. I write music, and it was writing music that led me to do everything I do musically, led me to want to learn so much about it. So I began by playing piano and classical guitar. Those are still the two main instruments that I perform on. But then as I wanted to learn more about music, I realized I needed to understand more about the orchestra. So I took violin, just like many of you, when I was in middle school. And I was in my school orchestra. And then I had my very first youth orchestra experience. And I always tell everyone the truth that I was one of the worst players in the orchestra. In fact, maybe not one of the worst. They put me in the very back of the seconds. And I didn't care because I just wanted to learn as much about music as possible. And so I find it very funny that I was one of the worst players in the youth orchestra, and now I'm the conductor of a youth orchestra. So there's a lot of old jokes in that. And then, I got interested in conducting because, again, it was just about getting deeper and closer into the music. So I write music now. I write orchestra music. I write music for chamber, a lot of chamber music, like what you're going to be playing. I've written string quartets and piano trios. I just had my most recent recording was a piano trio, in fact, and a lot of solo music. And as I got to know more about music, I started to share a lot with people. So I do lectures about composers all the time. Right now, I'm doing a lecture on Maurice Ravel, the great French late Romantic composer. And so I think about this a lot. And I want to say that to all of you students. You're all playing an instrument now. Some of you actually play more than one instrument. Some of you play two instruments. But everything you do is about music and will lead you to places that you don't expect. I think that's one of the great things about that we love so much about music, is that you take everything you take in one place, it feeds into the other. And so in a million years, I would never have imagined myself conducting a youth orchestra. And yet here I am. And there's so many other things I did, like, for instance, helping edit the Nimrod video. I never imagined I'd be editing a video, putting together 100 different recordings to do something like that. And so you're going to find the same thing. And our panels will talk to you about that. They're going to talk to you about how to prepare for college. They're going to talk about how to prepare for auditions. Some of you may want to know about other things, like what if I want to play jazz? What if I want to learn how to improvise? What if I want to figure out how to incorporate classical instruments in a pop group? Maybe you want to learn about recording engineering. We live in an amazing time where you can do so much yourself if you just have the tools, because we live in this incredible world of technology where everything opens up. But I want to do now is I want to take you back in time to a very sophisticated technology, but one that predates our time. And that is in the world of Bach. So I want to talk about Bach's this Bach piece that I've chosen for our virtual performance, so that you understand what's going on inside of it. And so I'm going to share the screen and talk a little bit about Johann Sebastian Bach. Most of you have played music by Bach. Bach lived, as you know, he was born in 1685, died in 1750. We call it the Baroque era. I think of it as the era of the clock, because this is actually when the spring pendulum was kind of discovered, and the idea of clockwork informed everything about the aesthetics of art at this time. The Baroque music, if you think of Bach's music, there is a clockwork precision to it. Clocks have lots of complex times, right? There's seconds, hours, and minutes, all these different tempi all going on at the same time. And Bach's music does this all the time. You have a bass that's going, bass is moving along a lot. In fact, moving bass lines were such a big part of the Baroque era. They even call it sometimes the era of the figured bass, because the bass line was so important. But then there would always be an accompaniment too. You know, some kind of accompaniment and some kind of a melody. So you always have this sense of gears, of a lot of things going on. And you can tap your feet to Baroque music because there's a clockwork quality of it. Bach is, for many of us, is considered probably, really the greatest composer of all time. He lived at a very special time in music history, because up till just before he was born, music was all written horizontal. And what I mean by that is music was all about melodies that overlapped each other. What we call counterpoint today. The crudest form of counterpoint is a round, like row, row, row your boat, when everyone comes in at different times. But counterpoint can be very sophisticated. If any of you have played a fugue, it can be very sophisticated. The idea of having one melody play and then having another melody on top of it is very complicated, because when the other melody goes on top of it, the harmony has to line up. And there's half the notes can be wrong and half the notes can be right. So it takes a lot of effort to make sure that when all those notes are put on top of each other, they sound good. And they don't just sound, you can end up being, you could end up with things that don't actually come together in a very harmonic way. So Bach, he before he was born, that was the way music was being written. But just before he was born, in the Baroque era, people started to write music this way, up and down, vertically. And that's music where it's about chords instead of individual melodies, like... Then music started to become about chords. So music was written with chords, boom, boom, boom. And so we actually talk about a harmonic progression in music. And so that became the actual clockwork for the music. One chord leading to another chord. So Bach lived at this time when both of those currents were still kind of battling each other. So in Bach's music, you've got music that's going horizontal and you've got music going vertically. And Bach was a master at combining both. So when you listen to Bach's music, you can't listen to it just one way. You can't just listen to it with chords. You've got to also listen to it horizontally. Even when he's playing chords, there's a lot of horizontal music, like in the G minor suite. Sounds like a lot of chords. And it's true, that is a lot of chords, but in addition to the chords, you get the melody. That's shower music. You can sing, you put them together. So even when Bach is just doing chords, there's something going on that goes this way. And that brings us to what we're going to talk about with the chorale, the Wachet auf chorale. Bach was a Lutheran. So Lutheranism was a response to Catholicism, and it tried to get rid of what they felt was a kind of corruption of the beliefs of Christianity, that things were getting too far away from the purity of Christianity. So Martin Luther and other people in the Reformation movement, for instance, they wanted you to sit in churches that didn't have lots of art, because that took away from just focusing on your prayers and on God. They didn't want the chairs to be too comfortable either, because you should be a little uncomfortable and simple. Everything should be simple wooden pews. Bach was brought up with that. Even the melodies had to be simple. So there was this melody, but Bach would take these melodies and he would make variations of them. And one of the ones we're going to be focused on is one that's called Awake, Hear the Call. And that's Wachet auf, ruft uns die Stimme. And here's the text here. This is in German, right? Wachet auf, ruft uns die Stimme. I'd like you all to say that. I've got you muted, but I'd like you all to say and repeat after me. Wachet auf, ruft uns die Stimme. The translation is awake, the voice is calling, or the awake calls the voice to us. So the voice is calling, and the voice is of the watchman high up in the tower. Awake, you city of Jerusalem. So the image is the watchmen in the tower in Jerusalem, which is the sacred city in Israel, are clinging the bells, saying, awaken, awaken. And why do you have to awake? It's midnight. Midnight, the hour is named, and they call to us with bright voices. And so it's a calling to God. And you can take this if you're religious, and if you're Lutheran, you take it literally. It's a calling to Jesus. But if you're secular, more secular like I am, you take it as a calling to a higher purpose. And it has a very deep meaning. So the beginning of it is Wachet auf, ruft uns die Stimme, die Wächter, that's the watchman, die Wächter sehr hoch auf der Zinne, the watchman very high in the tower. I just want to focus, and then they go, Wach auf du Stadt Jerusalem, so awake, city of Jerusalem. So now Bach has grown up with this tune his whole life, because he's a good Lutheran. And here's the actual tune. So you can see here in this funny German, old German printing, Wachet auf, ruft uns die Stimme. And here's the tune. So it'd go like, Wachet auf, ruft uns die Stimme. God, I sing terribly. So that should inspire all of you to sing with me. Ready? Here we go. And Wachet auf, ruft uns die Stimme. So he's growing up with this all the time. And this, the second part. So that's the tune. And Bach hears this all the time growing up. And what he has done is he's taken that melody, and here's the Wachet auf as he would have heard it when he was a kid. So it's an A flat major. So the whole congregation knew this tune. They heard it a million times. They knew it as well as Happy Birthday. And so let's listen to Bach. This is what the first thing he does, he made a chorale of it, which is he added the soprano sings the melody, and then an alto, a tenor, and a bass voice. So he adds 3 other voices to create harmony with it. And let me see if I have that here. I think I have that here. Let me go back to the beginning. So here's the choir singing it. Repeats. Now, just that by itself, isn't that gorgeous? That's Bach harmonizing the chorale. He's adding 3 other voices. Now, if you were in my harmony class, we would spend like an hour talking about how each voice underneath it has its own melody that's just as pretty as the top one, and how you put those 4 melodies together and you get this gorgeous harmony you just heard. But that's just the beginning for Bach. Bach comes up with this idea, what if I create a melody to go on top of that? Now, that's not original for him. That's a standard way composers would write. It's what we call cantus firmus technique. And it's called cantus firmus because in the medieval era, hundreds of years now before Bach, you would have a chant, which everyone knew, and that would be called the firm song. The chant was, and then you would write another melody on top of it. And that other one might go. And that would be called counterpoint, point against point, note against note. So Bach comes up with a very complex idea. And that is a melody, one of his most complicated and beautiful melodies. Why is that so beautiful? Why is it so complicated? Well, let me play you the bass. He creates his own bass line for it. The bass line is a little bit like he wants it to remind people of the chorale. But it's not the same exactly. It goes like this. Almost like a little jazz riff. And then on top of it. Why is that so haunting and complicated? Well, it's because it's all bad counterpoint. It's kind of wrong. If he had done it the way you would do it legally, it would sound something more like this. Pretty horrible, isn't it? That's the kind of thing I would do for it. But what makes that so interesting, here, let me get off the screen share, is that Bach is not doing that legal thing where all those notes match the chord. We're in E flat. So you stay in E flat, and then we move to F minor, and then B flat. Instead, Bach does this. That's kind of, it strikes your ear as something not quite right in a really interesting way, because here we go from consonants, something that sounds good, it belongs in the chord, to what we call a dissonance. Dissonance is a note, not necessarily something that's ugly. Dissonance just means that it doesn't, a note that doesn't belong with the chord. He moves from here, from the G to the F, and the F is against an E flat, so that's dissonant. And then he's supposed to resolve the dissonance. It should have gone like this. That would be fine. But instead he goes from one dissonance to another dissonance. That's a no-no. You're not supposed to jump from one dissonance to another one. And finally we get back. Now that's a kind of hidden symbol in Bach. It also is a symbol for a cross. You know, if you see the way people cross themselves, I'm Jewish, I don't know, but you see that kind of thing. That kind of idea of a cross is G. You can kind of see on the piano when I'm playing it. Down, up, back, down. So it's a turn figure, da-dum, ba-da, circling around this note. And so there's 2 dissonances there that make that melody so interesting. But that's okay. A lot of composers get away with that, and he eventually resolves it. Here's the problem. The next thing. That's really weird. For Bach's time, that was weird. If I play those two notes together and with the intervals, this is what you get. Now, if I play that to you, I bet even you would think that's dissonant today. Right? So if I play it really loud, you can hear the dissonances. This is what makes the piece so memorable, because he goes from consonants to dissonance. So we got consonants to dissonance, and then you're supposed to resolve it. Instead, he resolves it an octave higher. But then when he resolves it, he changes the bass, so that's dissonance. So now you have dissonance, dissonance. And he does the same thing here. Dissonance. So you've got all these dissonances in it, and this is what makes it so memorable. And you're like, work it out in your ear because it doesn't quite fit. Finally resolves. But it's satisfying because the dissonances do eventually resolve. So I wanted to point that out because that's one of the things that makes this melody so interesting. But that's not the problem. The problem is, how is Bach going to take a melody like that's so different from that and put it with the old tune? So if it was me, I would just put them straight on top of one another. It would sound like this, something like this. All right, well, I'll do here. That's the two at the same time. It kind of works, but at the end, you notice you're kind of left hanging. Doesn't quite work. Bach's solution is so interesting and unusual and clever. It makes him, to me, a very modern composer. Because what Bach decided is not to put them right on top of one another. He tried to imagine them like plates, like plate tectonics, where they're shifting over each other, but they're in a different world. So what he does is he has the melody, that his new melody start, then he has the chorale come in later. And then when the melody finishes, it has to repeat again to finish it. So he does it like this. He goes like, now the old tune comes in. Isn't that weird? It's like they're two separate entities, and yet in some mysterious way they fit together. And I find this to be so unusual and weird. So how does that sound in the music? Bach first wrote this for organ. And so it's one of his organ chorales. You can see all the fancy thing. That's orgo for organ. And it's written, here, let me just show you the organ music. Organ music is written in 3 staves, okay? So the top 2 staves you play with your hands. The bottom stave you play with your foot on the organ. And so what he has is he has the foot playing the bass line. The right hand plays the melody that he created. And then here, you can see starting here, the tune comes in. Wachet auf, ruft uns die Stimme. The tune comes in here, and that's played by the left hand. So let me play you what that sounds like. It sounds, I'll go right to where the counterpoint comes in. So it goes. Let me give you another try. Then it continues. So isn't that amazing how the two kind of float against each other? Now, when we play this as an orchestra, all of those things will come through. So let me play you the beginning of this in the organ version, and so you can hear how it works. So he first does his melody, and then the chorale comes in. Here's the second part of the phrase, the answer. Ornate, right? A little playful. And answers. That's Bach's full melody that he composed. Now he shows you how he's going to put it together with the old chorale. Continues then. Isn't that extraordinary, the way those things are put together? So let me share with you how he does this let me show you with the orchestra and what we're going to do. So now we move, we don't need that one. Wait, we heard that. 1 second. I'm going to go just a couple of minutes over because I really want you to hear this. It's so beautiful. This is, here's what it sounds like in the organ. Oops, sorry about this.
Protein may be the cause of your arthritis and chronic joint pain.
Perfect. Isn't that gorgeous, that melody? Now you're going to see here. Here's the chorale tune coming in. And the organ can give different colors. So that's an oboe sound. They fit together so beautifully and so mysteriously. Okay, so that gives you a feeling with the organ. So beautiful. Now let's listen to it as he wrote it in the cantata. I should explain, what is a cantata? A cantata is like a sung symphony. It's basically the music that he would prepare for the church service. Cantatas are usually about 20 to 30 minutes. They have different movements of music with orchestra, chorus, and soloist. And so this piece he took that organ piece and made it into a movement into the cantata where you actually hear people singing with the orchestra. Oops, that's sorry. That's Yo-Yo Ma playing the same thing with Chris Tile and Edgar Meyer. This is a modern performance they did just a few years ago. He's playing mandolin, of course, with an ad. And I'm running out of time, so let's see. So this is bass and mandolin. And you can guess Yo-Yo Ma is going to play the chorale tune. Look how serious Yo-Yo Ma is. Here he goes. So that gives you an idea of how he's realized that. Now I want you to hear it as Bach wrote it as a cantata. Oops, still have an ad to deal with. And then it's sung. So it gives you a beautiful how this music sounds so glorious in all of these different guises. What we're going to do is we're going to play it as in a beautiful orchestra arrangement done by Eugene Ormandy for the Philadelphia Orchestra. And so we're going to do it without voices, but with full orchestra. And this is what you're going to be working on for part of your rehearsals and to prepare for your own recording that we'll put together. And let's listen to a little bit of that. So this will be with full orchestra. Listen to the woodwinds. Brass play the chorale. And then, you're going to get to know the piece well. You'll listen to the whole thing, but I want you to hear how it develops and ends. Is it right here? Let me see. Sorry? It's about here, probably. No, it's the other chorale. Right here. Right? So just like we did with Nimrod, I'm envisioning a piece that's full of inspiration, full of great hope and deep emotion. And so I thought this would be something really powerful for us to do as a group. And I'm going to now stop sharing the screen. I want to thank you for listening, participating for this first Zoom meeting. I'm going to unmute you all. Laura, is there anything else I need to say? Does everyone know what's happening next week?
Does everyone know what's happening next week? If you have any questions, you can always send an email or text to Anna, and we will get back to you. If there's anything that we haven't covered or you missed, we did record this session. Send that out as well and make that available. But we're here for all questions. So to reiterate, you will receive, if you audition today, you will be notified by the latest Tuesday. And everyone else will receive their chamber group assignments and everything else relating to that, link to music, by Thursday at the latest.
Great. I hope you guys all enjoyed this time. It was so great for me to see you all again. I'm really excited for the work we're going to do. Again, you'll be getting all the information for the pieces that you're performing, the groups you're going to be in, and we're going to be here for you. I know how what a challenging semester this is for you in school. I want this orchestra to be the one thing at least that gives you a lot of joy. Because, and as you can see with this piece of Bach I've picked, this is the kind of thing that should just swell into your heart and help get you through the whole semester. Could we all wave goodbye to each other? Okay. Thank you all, and I'll be seeing you soon. Okay.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good rest of your week.
Okay.
Right?
You, all of you too. Wishing you guys
Thank you.
all great.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome, all of you.
Good to see you, Beth.
Good to see you.
Yeah. And Linnea, thank you so much.
Thank you, Linnea.
Thank you so much for everyone.
Thank you, Russell.
Yeah, it was just great. It was terrific.
Thanks to all the coaches, for everything you said, all your
These coaches were amazing.
Inspirational words,
Our
words of
pleasure.
wisdom, fantastic, extra thoughts.
So we are meeting again in an hour or so.
5 o'clock, it's a different link, so.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yep. We'll see you then.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, Laura. Okay, bumps and all, I think it went okay.
I'm gonna go take a break, Russell and Laura. I'll see you in 50 minutes.
You got
Okay,
it.
great. See you soon.
Okay. So long.
We still got a few students here hanging on.
Yeah, well, they want to see if anything good's going to happen.
So what's next? So Russell and I are now going to perform a piece. What are we going to perform, Russell?
Well, I can actually do some Ravel. I've been doing the. Yeah. Anyway, it was great to see everyone, and they all look good, and they all look excited. I'm excited hearing all the coaches talk about the pieces that Linnea picked, and I'll be interested to hear about the auditions and how we're handling all that stuff.
Absolutely. I think we still have some people that left their computer and left it on,
Yeah.
but they're still hanging out.
Yeah.
So we'll end this session. Shall we end it? And we'll
Yeah,
move
let's
on.
end it.
Okay. All right. I'll see you at 5.
Okay.